So I know everyone is probably at the end of their brain power, but this is actually something that local governments and organizations can start to do proactively now. And it's a way to use the market to really drive buying better products, buying products that already have the end of life in mind, and using the dollars and tools that you already have at your disposal to start to make an impact on moving these issues forward. So I'm just going to quickly go through this. I think we've talked ad nauseum today about why we think producer responsibility is a great idea. We can't keep up with the system the way it's going. The costs for local government are skyrocketing. There are no real long-term sustainable funding sources to do this. So that's why we really are engaged in looking at all avenues, including what I'm going to talk to you about now, which is procurement. So when you buy these types of things, how do you do a better job? So we refer to this as EPP, not to be confused with EPR or any of the other acronyms that we use, but this is environmentally preferable purchasing. So when you go to purchase, if you're in an organization that does purchase sharps, what do you look at? How do you start to, through your dollars, drive producers to make a better product by buying a product that's already starting to meet some of these standards? So the characteristics that we look at for EPP are things that I think are really familiar to many of us in this room. If you work in these issues, you come across this. You want to look at recycled content. Is there anything recycled being used in this? Is it energy efficient? Is it long lasting, which is not really an issue with sharps, but when you look at procurement in general. And how renewable could it be, and what is the disposal of product, what is the plan for safe end-of-life disposal? So if you're buying sharps, does it already have a plan? And then that makes it a preferable option. So to use a completely different example from sharps, another product that we talk about is paint. And we've worked a good deal with the paint industry to help them put together products and develop recycled content products. And what we've learned is there's a lot of hesitation that maybe if it has recycled content, it's not going to be as good. But we really have worked with the paint industry to look at maintaining the standards so that the end product is still a good product. And we have had the, I have to look at my notes to see exactly what this acronym is because I always forget it. The Master Painters Institute actually sets standards for all paint. So we wanted to put the product with recycled content in it through the same standards. So you want to have similar standards to something that wouldn't have recycled content so you can make the case that it is a competitive, viable product. We also, we've talked about this, I know Heidi mentioned this a little bit earlier, is just via purchasing, how can we control the sharps waste? And talking about, are there other delivery methods for that type of medication? How to incorporate take-back language for sharps and purchasing requirements, and how to buy from those manufacturers that are doing something about take-back at the end of life and are really engaging in this process. And obviously we've had Ultimate here today, and they're a wonderful example of somebody who's already thinking through this. So how do we support those manufacturers that are doing the right thing? So we have put together 5 steps to integrate producer responsibility into purchasing policies. And the first thing is to just take a look at your own organization, your local government, your hospital, however it's set up, and look at the existing language. And look at the procurement specifications and take out anything that would eliminate the options to get some take-back considerations in. So it's just kind of cleaning out what's already in there. Then we suggest that you look at incorporating key language and trying to look at the end-of-life management, how you're going to support putting in EPR language, what kind of documentation you would want to collect for products, what are the standards you would judge products by, and trying to piece by piece start to think about for each type of product you might be purchasing how to do a better job. And one of the things that we had out on the table today is actually a purchasing guide that we put together for sharps. And it's also available on our website. And we actually just redid this for this workshop. So it gives you an idea of some sample policy language so that you don't have to necessarily reinvent the wheel. You can kind of take a look at how other people have written these things up as they relate to sharps and incorporate these into your own practices. We then suggest that you really define the requirements. If you have an RFP that goes out when you do major purchases, include what kind of proof you're going to be collecting from manufacturers and how you're going to meet those standards. Step 4 is to define the responsibility of the vendors. So what you're going to ask them to give you, how often are you going to get it, what kind of certification do they have to provide for take-back programs, and then make sure that you amend the procurement contract language so that it includes all of that at the end of the process. So that's just a little hint of something that we can all already do. You can incorporate that into what you're already doing and start to really feed into that full circle of a product and get those ideas moving through your local government. Or organization, that's right. Does anyone have questions? I love the end of the day.
Oh, Jeffrey. Oh, nothing's working?
No, yeah, that's okay. I'll repeat it.
Yeah, a quick question. So, procurement of sharps you're talking about? So, what kind of organization would this apply to? Maybe county health department?
Right, right. I mean, there are organizations that buy large quantities. Hospitals are an obvious example. Some local government, the different departments provide medical equipment to their clients that they work with. So if you're already making those kinds of purchases, this is an easy way that you can already drive the market a little bit toward having a take-back option.